Alright, kind of set up down here. I've got another camera over there doing time lapse. I think first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean up around this oil filter, and I'm going to go ahead and get that put on. I'm not going to be draining anything out of that anymore for now. Actually, you know what? I might leave it off. Looks like it'll be a little easier to see some of the bolts on the pan without that in the way. Alright, well, I'm going to leave it off, I guess, for now. But I'm going to start working on getting these perimeter bolts out. Alright, let's take you under here and take a look at the bolts. So right now looking up, we're looking at the timing chain cover right there. Still got the tool bolts out from doing that. And we've got a stud. That looks like another stud which is cut off for that exhaust. And we've got up in there another bolt. Another bolt in the corner, horizontal bolt. Two sneaky bolts way up in there. And we get some football action going on. A little horizontal, another bolt, then another bolt, another stud, another stud, another stud for that where that wire is on right now. It just pops off. So I'll get to it. Alright, let's take a look. Hopefully the football doesn't become an issue, but if I keep talking, maybe it'll be a fine. So here we've got the windage tray right here. We've got the pickup right here. Everything's looking pretty good down here, actually. So we've got it all pulled off of there. That's our little rubber inspection thing that goes right there. Here we've got the pan here. So we'll take that up to the bench, get it cleaned up, get this all cleaned up, get some silicone on, and get it back in place. Alright, I've got the pan all cleaned up, new gasket installed. I took the windage tray out here to get all the sludge that was underneath it that was kind of built up. Not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was. Cleaned up all the bolts real nice and pretty. They have these rubber deals on them to kind of help locate the pan. I'm not going to put those back in just because most of them are broke because they're all old and nasty. Take you down below here. Alright, so I've got the pan surface all cleaned off nice and pretty. Nice and shiny. Not going to be any leaks here. So I'm going to take some black RTV for there and over there. So I'm going to put that on there, and then we'll get her installed. Alright, take you back under here again. We got the pan installed. All the bolts are installed. And they are all just kind of a little bit tightened down. They are not torqued, and they're just a little bit tight. I left these loose because once I torque, this is going to pull up. So you want to leave these loose until you torque and then tighten these up. So I'm going to let that sit. Let that RTV set up. Yeah, let that RTV set up over there, and I'm going to go ahead and get this crank pulley installed real quick. It needs a little RTV on the keyway, and then we'll use a tool and put that on. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. So your keyway here. I'm going to put a little RTV right on that keyway. We're going to slip our pulley on there with the keyway lined up. Then I've got an installation tool for installing the harmonic balancer. Essentially put the right adapter into the big screw there, jam nut here, bearing here, and a big nut there. So then you can turn the nut and hold the end and just crank it on instead of having to use an impact. We'll see how it goes. It's a new tool. Quick recap down here. I know it's dark, but we got the crank pulley on. Used the installer, kind of got it started, but since I didn't have a big enough wrench, the vice grips was annoying, so Got it on far enough to grab the threads of the bolt, and then just drew it in the rest of the way with the bolt using an impact. So tomorrow we'll get these pan bolts torqued up and then start installing the exhaust. Good morning. It is full day 3, I'm on day 3, 3.5 of this job. Yeah, yesterday we finished up with the oil pan, getting that on, and the harmonic balancer was the last thing I did. So now this morning I'm going to go ahead and get those torqued. They're just tightened down, not torqued. So I'm going to torque those down, get the belt on, and then move on to exhaust, which I've got a bunch of work to do. So, see ya. Here's the belt routing on this 2004. Now we can see the belt routing up over the power steering at the top, back around the alternator, back around the tensioner, around the crank pulley, and around the AC compressor. So, belt is on. Now it's time to work on that exhaust. Alright, now that I've got the belt on over there, we're going to take a look at the exhaust. This is what came off of this car. Real nice and pretty. So, going to clean these up here. Clean that up, clean that up. Obviously this one's leaking. We've got new gaskets for that. So, I think here is probably my biggest issue right now. So, we've got exhaust leaking from this flex tube right here. So, I've ordered a generic flex pipe here. So, I believe what I can do is I'll be able to cut this off and put this here and retain this hanger. If not, I will grind off the, I might not be able to. I might grind off this hanger and re-weld it, or if there's some at the store, I'll pick up some hangers. This flange was welded a long time ago. I don't even know if you'd call that weld. But obviously it was leaking at some point and they couldn't get the exhaust stud out, so they just welded it. The rear one on this car is welded as well. There's a splice point here. Take it down below. So when I took this out, I just cut it off. There's this splice tube here into another splice tube here, going into the muffler. So there's a hanger on this section that I'll either need to retain or redo. Right now I just got this weight of this muffler resting on the tire back here. So as you can tell, if you look carefully back there, that flange back there is all welded too. Awesome. Alright, so I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to probably drop this, clean this muffler splice point up and re-weld it, just so that's a good connection there. It goes in, so it's really not too big of a deal. I don't even think it was leaking there, but I am going to clean it up and hit it with some weld. I don't like the angle it's at, but it is what it is. It's you know, it'll be fine for dragging through some snow a little bit if it gets really snowy. We've still got, you know, a foot of clearance or 10 inches. So I'll get this thing figured out on pen and paper and make a parts run. I've got some parts and pieces, some tubing, a couple adapters, some J-hooks, got my flex pipe that I ordered. So I'm going to hack this off and essentially rebuild it from here to the muffler, and figure out how to do the hanger. Might be a little interesting, but stay tuned. Alright, well, my little adapter pieces I bought aren't quite right. I guess I took some measurements wrong. So I've got the new flex pipe welded onto here, and I'm going to get some, I need to get 2 new adapter pieces. One to go to the piece of pipe, and then one to meet up with the pipe before the muffler. So, we're back. Alright, so I had to run and get some new tubing adapters, some different sizes, to make this work the way I wanted it to. So I had to stack connectors here, so I'll get these welded up. And then I've got another connector that will go on the other end, like so. And then this will go into the old pipe. And then I'll clamp the old pipe onto this one. That'll be my disconnection point. So I'll put you back on time lapse and do some welding. Alright, Andy came by. It's early afternoon here. So, we got that pipe welded up. I'm going to reuse the hanger off of this one because it's kind of a little bit of a funny bend. So we're just going to cut this off of here so I can get a cutting wheel easily to get that cut off of there. So we'll cut it, maybe cut it on the other side too and throw it in a vise or something. I'm not sure yet, but we'll get this cut off of there. Okay, we've got our pipe welded together, welded this hanger on after cutting it off. That's not going anywhere. So now we're going to test fit the piece under there so I can get the length right for this. And this will weld onto here. This will slip into the existing pipe and that will clamp on. That'll be our disconnection point. Alright, we've got this baby all welded up. Just painted up our welds so they don't rust. Obviously it's going to be rusty, it's already rusty anyway. Put some more copper gasket on the surfaces. Got a gasket for the flat one over there, ready to go on. So Andy and I are going to go fit this puppy in, and then yeah, hopefully we're done with exhaust. All right, we've got exhaust pipe in. That's all bolted down. Grab a light here. You can see that's all bolted in. Got it done back here as well. Little insignia, B&B rocks on the pipe for, you know, the awesome custom exhaust.
Everything.
So got that clamped right there. That's our disconnection point for the whole exhaust. But it's up there and it's solid. It should be good to go. So next up, we're gonna put fluids in this, and we'll dry run it with just a starter a little bit before actually giving it spark, and yeah, then we'll attempt to start it. All right, so we've got the ignition fuse out and the fuel fuse out, so this isn't going to spark. I think it will turn over with the ignition fuse out. We're going to find out. And we're just going to turn it over with the key using the starter to kind of build up some pressure. We're going to give that a go, and then we'll put the fuses in, and we'll see if it starts.
Turn it or you turn it? Don't cross.
Yeah, let's see if it does anything. I think we're going to need that ignition fuse in there.
Good.
Let's see the keys in there.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, needed that.
it's alive.
Okay, here goes the crank. Sounds healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds right, huh?
Yep.
No
We'll do
bumps.
that another 1 or 2 more times, then we'll throw in the ignition. This is good. Fuel.
Just a fuel like that.
Ready?
Let me do it another time.
Okay. I think she wants to start.
Yeah, I think she wants to start. Let's throw that fuel. Fuse in. Yep, fuel, yep.
Okay.
Oh, come on, baby.
Double cross again.
Come on, baby. You gotta prime the fuel. Pump a little bit here. See any gas spraying out anywhere?
No, not yet. Gonna put a match down there and see.
Yeah. All right, here goes nothing.
Something. She needs time to get used to her new parts. Slope's normal.
That's some smoke. While it runs, we've got a little bit of a misfire. We'll have to kind of chase that down. But there's no banging. We're in time. Alright, we're going to let this warm up, check it with the computer, see what it's going on here. We're burning off a bunch of junk from all the cleaning and everything that we did, so we'll be back. Well, it runs. We're running rich on bank 2 in the rear. I was running rich on the bank 2 before we did the engine work, so I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. But for now, since it does run, we're gonna button it back up, and which means that we've got to get the cross members back underneath, which means I've got to pull the bolt out of here and this control arm to get the nut on the back side of that cross member. It's a real treat. It's a real treat the way they did that. And so get the cross members back on, get this axle in, and do some brakes. Okay, we've got our CV axle put back in, our intermediate shaft, and the little bracket that holds that together. Got this back on here, cranked this down with the big impact. Got our nuts tight here, everything else tight. We've got the 2 cross members back installed. Both of those are installed. To do the nut for the front one, you've got to pull the CV out of there so you can get enough room to get that nut in. Kind of a really stupid design. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. Now we're gonna just do a simple brake job on here, get some new pads and new rotors on it, and Alright, we've got new brakes on both sides. I already threw the tire on the other side. We'll throw this one back on. Gotta go up a little bit with it because it's down to work on it. So I have to give it a little bit of up action. Get all these started. We'll drop down to the ground, hit a torque wrench. Set this to 100 foot-pounds. There we go. All right, well, I'm gonna hit the other side. And you know what? I guess we're going to close this video out for now. I'll keep any updates on the... We don't have a misfire. I did do some scanning and figured out that bank 2 is running rich. Whether that's due to an O2 sensor or a stuck fuel injector stuck open or something weird like that. We're going to run it for a little while, keep track of it, and see if it doesn't happen to come down. I did occasionally have some O2 sensor lights come on this before, and I never really looked into them too much. I would clear them and they would go away for quite a while, for a couple months. But I'm pretty sure it was bank 2. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more, and maybe with some driving around, maybe she'll open up a little bit, or I'm going to have to look into an O2 sensor. Wouldn't surprise me with this engine, with the head gasket issue, that there'd be an O2 sensor that's fouled out. So might have to look into that in the future, but whispering helps.
Should get you a recording in sessions.
I don't care, it's a little slow of editing anyway. I get days of editing who knows when. Good morning, it is day 5. Yesterday we got the car all started and it does run, but we're having looking at the computer, I'm having a lean symptom on bank 2, and it just kind of runs like crap, just kind of putters and likes to try to die and doesn't have much power. So I'm going to go back in the intake and take a look and see if I can find some leaks, or if there's a fuel injector plug. I'm going to look at some documentation to see if there's any ideas of how I can diagnose if it's a fuel injector. But I'm going to pull the intake back off and pull the plugs out and take a look in there. Yeah, so we'll go from there. Alrighty, I tell you what, sometimes we as auto mechanics are, as I am referred to, a shade tree mechanic. I don't have any trees in here, but I just do this stuff on the side for fun, and save a lot of money. And what I figured out with this engine shaking and seemed like it was misfiring, I wasn't getting misfire codes, just O2 codes. It was just running like crap. and it was running lean bank 2, it said, so it was trying to jump the fuel up in bank 2. Anyway, what I found out, I tore the intake back down to make sure everything was right in there, that I had a fuel injector connector and all that correct, and it was. I replaced the connector that had a bad tab on it, but everything looked good in there, so I just was racking my brain trying to figure out what I did. One thought I had was maybe I'd put the reluctor wheel on their incorrect slot. The O2s through, I believe it's O2 through 05, the gap in the reluctor wheel needs to be opposite from the keyway where it slides on, and that's on anything that's got the crank sensor on the front side of the engine, which would be the left side of the engine, bank 2, and the 05, 06, somewhere in that range, have them on the other side of the engine where you use the other gap for the keyway for the reluctor wheel. So I was kind of double checking myself on that. I had to go back and look at pictures and video, and it's a good thing I did that because I was correct in how I did it. So it didn't make sense what was happening until today when I was looking at it and I realized that I just did something stupid. We'll take a look here. Just this front bank, it's this simple, guys. The wires lay out, I thought it would lay out much nicer this way, and so I had them 654, and I put a new valve cover on here so I didn't have my labels on the new one, and I was thinking to myself, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I looked at it and it said 6 over here. I was like, oh no. Simple. Flipped them around, the thing starts like a dream. So let's start it up. Let's hear it run. Here she is. Runs like a champ. Super smooth. I just had the battery disconnected, so the key was acting a little funny. I have some cheap keys in there right now, and they do work. It just takes a few clicks sometimes to recognize the chip. But I had the battery disconnected because I just had to figure out what was going on with these fog lights, ditch lights. But there she goes. Nice and smooth. Nice and quiet. It does take just a few minutes after you restart it for it to start learning the idle air control. Get that figured out. It kind of smooths out right there. Exhaust sounds good. We did take it on a drive. Everything drives great. No issues, no leaks. This is John from B&B Auto. Andy's not here right now. We'll see if we can get him to stop by, and he wants to stop by and check this out. Until next time, thanks for watching. B&B Auto, they don't die until we say so.
Subscribe.